Well, I'm meteorologist Vin Crosby from the Weather Show with Vin Crosby. It's been a little while, but we have a lot to talk about. Boy, there's been a little bit of adventure in my life I want to share with you. I was almost attacked by a moose. No kidding, a moose was on the loose over at Silver Creek out there by Peekaboo, Idaho, and yours truly came this close from coming a head-on collision with a moose. We'll show you that footage. I've got it on video. They are big animals, let's just say that. And then the weather today, absolutely gorgeous. We've been having a relatively cool month of June by our standards. Temperatures are only really a degree or two above normal where they should be this time of the year. And wouldn't you know it, after a day today where we get up to around 90 degrees, we're going to drop back into the 70s for quite some time, and maybe even cooler than that if we get some prolonged rain showers down here in the Treasure Valley. First things first, let's talk a little bit of weather here in the Treasure Valley. And with our weather system, we have a ridge of high pressure that's kind of just bubbling briefly, if you will. Behind me, we can see some of those high cirrus clouds. That's in advance of a front that's literally just coming on through Oregon. If you look at the satellite picture, you clearly can see a couple of things. Clouds starting to spread out around the midsections of Oregon, back towards Burns and heading up towards Baker City, and then back up to the west and northwest of Seattle, a pretty good compact swirl coming on through. And when I put the fronts on here, the cold front is that blue line with the triangles on them. That's the leading edge of cooler air that's going to come on through the Treasure Valley. That's going to be the first push of cool air to come our way. Tomorrow we'll have temperatures not tremendously cooler, but nice and cool, comfortable, crisp, maybe in the 70s. However, as the system kind of unfolds and that big dark area of spin that's back up towards the northwest of Seattle moves in our direction, that's when we'll start to see a lot of clouds, a lot of showers mixed in with those cooler temperatures, and that could lower temperatures even more. So this next map that you're going to see is what we call a 500 millibar map. It's raw. It's exactly what the forecasters use, but it paints a good picture. If you look up in the northwest United States, you can see the outline amongst all those lines, and then you'll see the trough, if you will, or the buckle in the jet stream take place. That's right over the Gem State, Oregon, and Washington. This trend will continue and linger because that system is going to cut off. Do you see that there, how it kind of pinwheels around and cuts off? And then those little areas of spin in the overall circulation kind of rotate through. So that's what we're looking at for this upcoming next 5 days. That's going to provide scattered clouds and showers. The radar or the forecast precipitation shows that across the country. You can see there's a lot of precipitation coming on through the northwest over the next, say, 3 to 5 days when this system starts to move in and pinwheel in our direction. And that's where you'll see those bubbles of rain and precipitation come our way. The pink and then the darker shades of pink and then the blues and the greens. Those are all the heavy areas of precipitation. One thing to note, though, is we're going for a close look, you can see that it doesn't really encompass the whole state. I mean, parts of the state do get some good amounts of rain. However, there are breaks. And I think what's going to happen with the situation of this upper level low is that it's going to get cut off over the region, but most of the energy is going to rotate around the Oahe Mountains to the south. And that will send a lot of energy up into the mountains here, the foothills of Boise, and that'll create a lot of heavy downpours and thunderstorms at times, maybe even some flash flooding in spots, but the Treasure Valley may be spared just sporadically. We may get a shower or thunderstorm here or there. I think it's going to be the tail end when that system finally gets a wobble going and one of the spins inside there actually rotates around and comes up over the area and gives us a day of some strong thunderstorm activity. But prior to that, it looks like things will be widely scattered and kind of moving around. So no major problems with this system initially, but I do think eventually we will get into some heavy rainfall as the system kind of settles in. That may take a couple of days. Unfortunately, heading into the weekend, it does not look like today. It looks like it's going to be cloudy at times with some sun and then maybe a scattered shower or two coming on too. Can't rule out a thunderstorm with this pocket of cool air coming on through. All right, so the forecast numbers that you'll see down below me there, you can see that the temperatures are going to cool down considerably. I mean, we're going in to the middle of the month of June, approaching the start of summer, and temperatures are in the 70s out here in Idaho and Boise for a substantial period of time. We just had temperatures in the 60s last week, so right around normal and maybe below normal temperatures overall for the month as we start off summer going into the 20th and 21st of this month. I do enjoy the long days, though, and hopefully you do too. I actually got out and did a little jogging towards sunset yesterday, pulled off 4 miles. That's a miracle in itself. Speaking of miracles, let's talk about some fly fishing. Beautiful place on the planet Earth is over there, Sun Valley, not Sun Valley, Silver Creek, over as you're heading towards Sun Valley. Got out there last week 2 times a year. You can come on through, my friend. I'm on the middle of the walking trail like a goober, but that's okay. He's not throwing me in the creek. He's all good. He said it's all good. So, yeah, Silver Creek is one of the premier spring creek fisheries in all of the United States and all of the world. They come from all over to fish a certain bug hatch. So when bugs come out of the water, they literally are, born underneath the water. They kind of swim to the surface, shuck their shell like a butterfly, and then fly away for, a few hours and then land on the water. And then they lay eggs and then they die. And the fish know this process, and they like to eat the bugs at those certain times. So one of the bigger bug hatches, and it only happens once a year for about 3 to 5 days, is over at Silver Creek. The bugs are ginormous. You can see some video here. It looks like a swarm of almost bats coming at you. It happens between 7 and 9 p.m., but when those giant bugs lay on the surface of the water, the fish go crazy. All kinds of fish. And normally fishing Silver Creek, it's very hard to catch fish. So this hatch is just fantastic from that sense. So I went out there to hit this bug hatch and had a good old time catching some good fish. However, in the process of heading back to the fishing hole, the second night I was there when I was camping out, I turned the corner of the creek in the water and came face to face with this thing. This is a moose, my friend. This is probably a young 4 or 5 year old moose, but I have never seen anything that big in my life. I mean, everybody says, hey, moose, they're big animals. We know they're big animals. Elk are big animals.
Exactly where I caught my fish.
But when you're 10,
night,
I think I was about 10 to 15 feet away when we caught eye contact.
That is my spot.
He just stared at me. I stared at him. I was trembling like a little baby in the water. I was paralyzed in fear. And if it wasn't for the fisherman on the bank that said, hey, he's been here for 4 years. He's never charged anybody. Just back away. You'll be okay. I think I would still be standing there today. It was that noticeable of an impact on this fisherman's life. His nostrils were so big you could put a giant bowling ball up his nose and still have room. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life. All muscle. And you can see he just hung out there, ate some leaves, and then just sat in the fish bank and watched us fish. So pretty amazing moment in this guy's life here, fishing Silver Creek. The fishing was great. My good friend Scott, he's been fishing that same pool there, comes there years. He allowed me to fish just upstream from him. Great guy, had his old dog with him, and we had a great time fishing. So in that process of fishing and having a good time with the fish, there was a thunderstorm forming to the north, and I got this great picture of Scott landing, literally a giant brown trout, must have been 24 inches, and a lightning bolt coming on behind him. Wonderful guy. I'm going to send him a link to this video, and I look forward to maybe bumping into him and all the rest of the gang that you bump into out there during this bug hatch. But fun times, and I hit it. I got there for 2 days and hit the bug hatch, caught a lot of trout, nice brown trout, beautiful rainbow trout. Fought one rainbow trout, about 15-inch trout for 15 minutes or so. Finally got to the net, and usually when fish get into the net, they're tired. Not this thing. Boom, took right off. Tremendous. So I love fly fishing. I love the weather. And boy, the gust front from the thunderstorm when we were there was tremendous. I mean, that thing came through. Oh my goodness, it was just huge as a line of storms formed right after the sunset. And drove home and watched a vivid lightning show. But that gust front was probably 45, 50 miles per hour when the front moved on through. All right, to recap, we have got some changing weather coming. You can see the cirrus clouds here well in advance of a storm system that's to the west. The front will not be a big deal. Winds coming down the Treasure Valley tonight, maybe 10, 15, gusts to 25, 30 miles per hour. You're going to be able to open up those windows and cool down the apartments or the houses. And then during the next couple of days, we'll see cooler temperatures, and then another system will roll on in, give a little bit of reinforcement, cut off, and give scattered showers and thunderstorms over the next 5 days. The weather show, of course, could not operate without our sponsors. We have some great sponsors, and hopefully you've been able to see some of their logos. Check them out for us. Go to their website. Look at some of the cool stuff that they have. I love 208 Tire. They're wonderful people. My friends over there at the Golf is Heaven, there goes a runner going 100 miles per hour. And, again, I'm right in the middle of the trail. These people are going to come back, and they're going to hate me. Just beautiful sponsors I have this time of year, and I need some more. Going to get some more and do some more weathercasts. I've been neglecting it for a little bit, going through some personal problems that's getting resolved, and life is starting to get good. And I hope it's getting good for you. Tell your friends and family about the weather show with Vin Crosby. Having a blast. Hopefully you are too. If you want me to come out to your business, want me to come out and say hi, want an interview, give me a shout. I'd love to come on by, stop by, and get you on the weather show with Vin Crosby.